Hey, how's it going? In today's lesson, I want to share with you how to set goals on the guitar and also an action plan on achieving those goals. And throughout, I'm going to share with you how you can learn and play your favorite songs and styles. So let's go ahead and hop in. My name is Will Ripley. You're tuning in for Campfire Guitar Star. All right, so I hope you're ready to hang with me here on kind of a conceptual style guitar lesson here. But I think this stuff is important. I think mindset and moving forward with your guitar playing with a good mindset and with a strong mindset is going to be absolutely essential for you to succeed on the instrument. So the very first thing that I want to share with you right out of the gate here, and I'm looking for your interaction and your participation on this one, because I'd love to see this list of 10 songs. And that's exactly what I'm going to suggest for you for guitar goal setting. And it's actually, guitar goal setting is so easy. You don't even have to go to like a 3-day Tony Robbins event or anything like that. It's very easy to set goals on the guitar. Quite simply, most of us started playing guitar because we love music. We love rock music, or we love, so-and-so rock star. So to set goals on the guitar, it's very easy. What you're going to want to do is go through your record collection, go through your Spotify playlist, maybe your 8 tracks or your whatever, however you consume music. Maybe it's just the radio, and things like that. But what you want to do is find those songs, those 10 songs in particular, that just get you fired up. The stuff that has you reaching over to the volume knob to crank that up, to air guitar to jump around, the stuff that just gets you out of bed in the morning, the stuff that made you want to get this guitar in your lap in the first place. What are those songs, okay? And this is in fact exactly what we do with all of our one-to-one students that we work with. So on our first lesson, the very first time that we sit down with the student, we'll sit down with them and ask them, what are your 10 songs? And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's like, the solo to Crazy Train or something like just absolutely, totally advanced. What is the stuff that gets you fired up about guitar and music? Write those 10 songs down. Okay, and that's absolutely what I would suggest for you to do. And like I said, I'd love to see your participation on this, and I'd like to actually see your personal 10 songs. I'd love to have a look at those. So what does this do for us? Well, not only is it super fun to just spend some quality time with the music that you love, but also just writing down those 10 super fiery songs will do a ton for your general direction on the guitar. So like I said, even if it's the most gnarly, crazy advanced stuff, a lot of times there's actually some really attainable stuff inside of the most complex songs. So even if we use that example, like I said, of Crazy Train, of like, that would be so awesome if you could play that one solo, for instance. Well, Crazy Train actually has a pretty attainable part, which sounds like this. Right, etc. And then we've got and of course there's more advanced parts to that song too. But inside of your favorite songs, no matter how advanced they are, there's going to be bits and pieces that you can play. So another song example might be something like Sweet Child of Mine. There's that iconic intro. And that big crazy solo, one of the most famous guitar solos of all time. But also, check it out, there's actually a really easy part that goes. Right? So inside of our most favorite songs, even as advanced and complex as they might seem, there's going to be little bits and pieces of your 10-song list that you can absolutely dive in and start tearing those apart and integrate them into your playing. And so once you develop this 10-song list, and like I said, it's super fun. It's actually like really great quality time, and we all love music and guitar in the first place, and I'm sure you can actually think about some of these 10 songs right at the top of your head anyways. Am I right? So it should be pretty easy to develop that 10-song list. But I really got to emphasize, pick the songs that really fire you up. So once we develop that 10-song list, what you want to do is integrate them into your daily listening. So, we're not teenagers anymore hanging out, driving around and going to parties and whatever and listening to music all the time. And I'm just assuming you're kind of like me. We used to listen to music all the time and hanging out with my buddies and going to parties and all that good stuff. Like, music was just like all the time. So with family and work and all that kind of stuff, my music listening has kind of gone down a little bit. So what I've been doing a lot lately is listening to music when I work out or when I run or when I'm driving the car. Okay, so what you want to do is develop like a Spotify playlist, for instance, or just some sort of way that you can access these 10 songs and start listening to them more often. Because here's the thing, how are you supposed to know how to play the songs if you don't really know how they're supposed to sound? Right? So that's why you want to get these 10 songs into your daily listening so that you can really just zoom in and really focus on those guitar parts. Also, if you can dive down a little bit deeper onto the songs, like listening to what the drummer's doing, like, oh, what are the hi-hats doing? What's the snare drum doing? What's the bass player doing, right? What are the multiple guitar parts doing, right? And things like that. It will really, really help you when you go to learn these songs because you really just have them kind of like integrated in your mind, heart, body, and soul. And so once you integrate your songs into your daily listening and listen to them a ton, when you actually go down to learn the parts and spend that time on the guitar, you'll just kind of like know how they're supposed to sound. It's almost like built into your subconscious at this point because you've just been listening to the songs so deeply and so in such a detailed way. All right, so that's the very first step that I want to share with you because a lot of guitar players are finding themselves directionless. They don't know where to go, what to play, what to practice. And quite simply, just spending that quality time on your 10 songs will just get you on the right path so you can figure out, okay, what am I doing? I pick up this guitar, I go down to play and practice. Now you have a list of 10 songs that you can kind of dive deep on. And once you integrate those into your daily listening, like I was mentioning, then you'll be like, oh yeah, that super easy solo to Sweet Child of Mine, like why don't I learn that? That sounds easy enough. And you can sing it, like get these parts together and get them solidified well enough that you can, as you're driving your kids to school or whatever, as you're driving your car, you can sing them along with the recording, right? So that will just get them super integrated like they're part of your subconscious, right? So then you can be like, okay, I'm gonna learn that riff to Crazy Train or that little easy solo bit to Sweet Child of Mine or whatever the case is. And you have that list to reference from. All right, this brings me to part 2 of this video, which is all about how do we play these songs? So you've been thinking a lot about them. You got this whole plan, right? But let's put this plan and this goal setting that we've talked all about so far into action. Okay, how do we get an action plan for you to start learning these songs? So I think what's important first is just to kind of recognize, how do humans learn? How do we learn something new? Well, we basically got 3 responses kind of built into our bodies. We've got our auditory, or the way we listen to things and hear things and absorb that into our brain and hopefully learn something from that. We've got our visual way of learning, so of course seeing something and then repeating it. Okay? And then we've got our kinesthetics, which is basically movement and being more hands-on with something, and just kind of a more physical approach. So, and very quickly here, I'm going to show you how when you blend all the sources, that's kind of like really the sweet ticket. So let's actually just dive deep a little bit into kind of what I consider to be the 4 different ways that us guitar players learn, or how do we learn guitar? How do we learn songs? How do we learn and start taking a stab at some of those 10 songs that we've been talking about? Well, let's talk about one of my first favorite ones, which is of course tabs. And I'm gonna grab these 2 books right here. I've got one of the latest guitar player magazines and a tab book. So these are often like overlooked resources of learning guitar. I've got a couple of books here. I've got the Soundgarden tab book all on their album, like the entire album, all tabbed out in this book. Also, pretty much every Guitar Player and Guitar World magazine has tabs in the back. So why is this important? How is this helpful? Well, the big difference between the written stuff that you'll get from a professional source, like basically a professional musician sat down and tabbed these out. Whereas the stuff on the internet, like on Ultimate Guitar and places like that, those are from just like Joe Schmoes, like just sometimes even beginner guitar players are going on there, and bless them for trying to help us. But the big problem is that a lot of those tabs, and I can tell you this from using those resources myself, like almost every tab I've seen, even if it has a 5-star review, it will be incorrect in some sort of way. That doesn't mean that it's not helpful, because a lot of times it'll get you started, but almost always, for myself anyways, is I use a mixture of tab and my ear. So I kind of get, oh yeah, okay, it's this part of the neck, but then I start using my ear because almost always I'll find something in the tab that's just like incorrect, or maybe even just too hard to read through the hammer-ons and pull-offs and stuff like that, whereas I just find it a little easier to hear that. So don't overlook the professional sheet music and the print music that you can buy from a music store or buy online, because that stuff, like I said, is from a professional musician, and it's going to be much more accurate than the stuff that you'll find for free online. So that's number one, which is of course reading. Number two, let's talk about videos, kind of like what you're watching right now. YouTube, okay? Back in my day, I even had VHS tapes, VHS blues guitar things. And also DVDs, that's still somewhat current. There's still guitar lesson manufacturers out there producing DVDs, right? And also membership websites, so there's all kinds of membership websites and libraries of guitar lessons. So of course that's really activating both our visual and our auditory perception. And so we're able to activate our fingers and replicate what we see on videos, okay? The one thing that this doesn't have though, and the big downfall, is that you don't get any feedback, right? We don't get any feedback as to, hey dude, you're doing that wrong, or like, no, don't use that finger, it's actually this finger, or whatever. You don't ever really get to know if you're doing something right or wrong, and you just gotta really reference your own mind and body and your own ears to know if you're doing something right. It can be really frustrating, as I'm sure you've discovered for yourself, when you don't know why it sounds so bad, even though you think you're playing exactly what the guy's playing on the video and things like that. So that's number two, which is videos and activating our minds that way. Number three is one-to-one lessons. And of course, this kind of like fixes all those issues with videos, because that's what one-to-one lessons are all about. Now, I don't necessarily mean to take one-on-one lessons with like me and my team or anything like that. Like a one-to-one lesson could be considered learning from some guy down the street, or like in the biography of Jimi Hendrix called Room Full of Mirrors, which is totally worth a read, by the way. Apparently, he would wait outside of clubs, and when the guitar player of the night would go out for a smoke break or go outside, or maybe he was like just going to his touring van or whatever, he'd be like, hey, stop. Can you please show me how you played that thing? And the guy would see like little pimply Jimi Hendrix and say, okay, all right, yeah, it went like this, and showed him how to play. So anytime that you can think of somebody in your life that knows how to play, or some sort of resource where you can learn from somebody that actually can play, pursue it. Like, go out of your way, drive across town, like wait outside of the clubs with your guitar in hand and ask if the guy would show you a chord or two or whatever, or of course there's more kind of formal ways to learn guitar, like private guitar lessons. And I'm a huge advocate of private lessons. I think that they're probably the best and fastest way to learn guitar. Unfortunately, there's two big downfalls with one-to-one lessons, which I should mention. Number one is the price. It's 100% the most expensive way to learn guitar. So if money is an issue, then of course that's going to prevent you from taking regular lessons, okay? And number two is there are a ton of bad guitar teachers out there. It is extraordinary to me, all these people that are teaching guitar and they're professional guitar teachers, and they make their students feel stupid. They're just like discouraging. They don't know how to break down complex things. And I've heard from many people over the years that they take guitar lessons from some Joe Schmo, and they just have a really terrible experience. So that's kind of the downfall with one-to-one lessons. All right, and number four is learning guitar by ear. So learning guitar by ear, what does that mean? Well, it means like when you can hear something, and maybe you've seen people do this, and maybe you've been able to do this a little bit yourself. You can hear something and then replicate it on the guitar. Okay, and I'm gonna do a future video all about kind of, and so is Mike and Davis, by the way. We're all gonna dive deep on ear training and how to learn things by ear, because it's a very big topic. But yeah, that is definitely another way to learn guitar, is by ear. Now, I wanna say, like, kind of bust a myth right now. It's like a lot of people that say that they learn guitar by ear and that's how they learn, they didn't learn from anywhere else. I'm gonna call those guys out on their BS. I don't think that anybody learned how to just magically put their fingers into here, or learned how to do a lick, you know, and things like that, just by total scratch and totally by ear. I don't think that that's something that's true. I think that even though a lot of people have had a lot of luck with learning guitar and they've done a lot on their own, but almost always they've learned from some sort of source to begin with, whether that's a buddy down the street, like an unconventional one-to-one lesson, you know, or a book, or even just something just to like usher them along just a little bit, just to get that kind of tidal wave started. So, but yeah, learning by ear, which is just listening to what it is that you're hearing and replicating that on the guitar. Okay, and like I said, I'm gonna do a future video on that. All right, so here's the big shortcut and the big secret to learning songs on the guitar and getting on the right path, is you blend the sources. Okay, those 4 things that we talked about. We talked about first learning guitar by tabs, okay? And then we talked about videos. And then we talked about one-to-one lessons. And then we talked about learning by ear, those 4 things. Now imagine taking one song on and blending all those sources together until you can accomplish that song. That's how you do it. That's the best and fastest way. Sure, you know, maybe method number 4, learning by ear, you can do the whole thing. But it'll be a lot faster if you get some tabs. You know, it'll be a lot faster if you watch a video on it. It'll be a lot faster if you take a one-to-one lesson from somebody that knows how to do that already, right? So, and that's what I'm saying. If you blend all 4 ways, what you're gonna be able to do is learn your guitar parts and your favorite songs so much faster. So, in conclusion, guys, what I wanna see from you guys is that list of 10 songs, the songs that fire you up, okay? Integrate those into your daily listening, listen to those a ton, and then once you go ahead and listen to them a whole bunch, you'll kind of know which parts are gonna be easier than others. So probably you shouldn't start out with the solo to Sweet Child of Mine. Perhaps you wanna start with that super basic, or maybe you wanna start with the chords or something like that. So, you know, do your best to kind of create a stairway for yourself and kind of go step by step to learn your favorite songs by yourself. But that's how you do it. Pick 10 songs that fire you up. The stuff that just gets you out of bed in the morning. The stuff that has got a guitar in your life in the first place. The reason that you're watching this video. Those songs. Get those songs fired up, okay? Listen to them a ton. Understand what songs to play and how to attack those. And then we talked about the 4 different ways of which you can attack these songs with rock and roll fury, okay? And I won't go over those again. I've already talked a lot about those, but we got those 4 different ways. And the big key secret is blending all 4 sources, okay? So that's the big thing I wanted to share with you guys. Go ahead and drop a comment below. Let me know your 10 song list. I want to help you be accountable as your guitar friend and your guitar coach. And so once you list those 10 songs out and you post them online, that means that they become a tangible thing, okay? And so I'm going to see those. I'm going to give them a thumbs up. And yeah, I'd just love to see what kind of tunes you're into. And then let me know if there's anything that you feel like I missed in this video, anything that just like super, like really resonated with you. And also just stay tuned for the next videos. I'm gonna kind of wanna break down each one of those 4 elements here in future videos. You know, how to read tabs, how to learn songs by ear, you know, and all that kind of stuff. So stay tuned for future videos. Thanks for tuning into this one. And until the next one, keep on ripping it up.